Coach Niumatalolo, thanks for joining us on the call. If you would take a minute to tie up the game against Notre Dame, please, and we expect to see you to get back into conference play Saturday at Cincinnati.
Thank you, Chuck. We had a tough loss against a really good Notre Dame team. We play them every year, so we kind of know who they are, but that's probably as good a Notre Dame team that we played in a while. Fortunately, didn't get off to a great start again, but I thought our kids battled hard in the second half, and I was proud of the way our guys finished, and just wish we could have started off faster and played a little bit better against a really good team. But with that said, I'm encouraged that our guys just continue to battle. We have to continue to get better. We got to continue to coach better. But encouraged by the way we fought. We're getting ready to play another good team in Cincinnati. Coach Fickle's done a great job in the second year there and getting his culture and things that he's trying to teach there in the program. Obviously, they're an improved football team and one of the best teams in our conference. Going to be a tall order for us. They was impressed last week how they played, and obviously that's to go to SMU and have a hard-fought win there at the end and overtime, and have the pick to seal the game just kind of shows the resolve and the grit of their team, and starting off as they go on the road and beat UCLA. I mean, just from the beginning of the season, just been impressed by how they've done a good job of playing and finding ways to win games. They're just a tough, resilient group. We know how athletic and big and fast and strong they are, and being coached really well by a really good staff, and so it's been another tough challenge for us, and we got to find a way to play better to have a chance against them.
We'll open it up to questions now for Coach Ken Niumatalolo. Please hit *1 on your telephone keypad to join the queue, and then the operator will introduce you.
We will now take our next question from Bill Wagner of the Baltimore Sun and Media Group. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Yeah, Kenny, what do you think Coach Fickle has done to get Cincinnati turned around so quickly? Obviously, they've made dramatic improvement in the short order.
Well, he's a really good football coach, and so you just knew as a matter of time. There's always a transition period. There's always a transition period as you get there. You're trying to establish your philosophy, your culture, your way you train, the way you want to run your program. So, when you first get there, you're a new coach and, trying to get to know your players. You're recruiting, so you're recruiting some of your own guys. There's guys from the previous staff. And so, obviously Coach Tuberville is a really good football coach too. But when there's just a transition period, just people do things differently. And obviously, Coach Tuberville Coach Fickle had his way of how he wanted to do things, and it's very obvious that stuff has been implemented. They're a physical team. He's a defensive guy, but you can just see their mentality: tough, hard-nosed, physical team. I've just been impressed with just their demeanor.
Well, I was just going to say, it seems like he's brought somewhat of a Big Ten mentality. Run the ball, play tough defense. Would that seem accurate? They're a little bit different than some of the other schools in this league. And
really good on special teams. They're a good football team, Wags. They're a good overall football team. Tough, hard-nosed. They get turnovers, take care of the ball. They're winning for a reason. It's not by coincidence. It's by design and how they play. And I just been impressed watching them on tape. As we're starting this, our scouting stuff. It's just tough, hard-nosed group playing really hard right now.
Thank you, Coach.
Bye, Wags.
We will now take our next question from Tom Shanahan from News and Observer. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hi, Coach. I wanted to follow up on that San Diego environment with the sellout crowd. And I don't mean to make this an awkward question, but you've been to San Diego many times for bowl games and as Hawaii as an athlete. I was just wondering if you were struck by the irony that City no longer has an NFL team.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little different, you know. I mean, just I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. We're there just for a couple of days, but I'm sure it's different with, you know, not having the Chargers there. I saw one of their, I don't know if it was a diner or a restaurant or something that said Boat Cafe or something like that. I can't really, as we were driving there. So I'm sure there's some remnants of, you know, of the Chargers there, which is probably tough for a city that, you know, had, you know, a football franchise there for a while. But I don't know. I don't really know if I paid too much attention to that to really, you know, give you a educated answer on that.
Okay, great. And then you mentioned this is one of the better Notre Dame teams you've seen. 2012, they were in the BCS final. How does it compare to that team?
Very similar. I just think there's a great resolve on their team. You know, just you know, obviously playing us, there could be a letdown. You know what I mean? Just, you know, you're not playing Michigan or anybody like that, but I just feel like they're focused, their resolve, just all business-like. You know, not a bunch of hoop and hollering. They just, you know, very business-like, very professional in their approach to the game. You know, although they played with emotion, but it wasn't anything about that. It was just execution, physically dominate, just impressed by the way they played. You know, just you could tell that they meant business when they're there. You know what I mean? There wasn't any overlooking us or any of that. And obviously that's a great credit to, you know, Brian and, you know, their seniors and you know, the goals that they want. But obviously they've spent a lot of time on that. Just they're really close to some great things, but they got to take it one game at a time. They can't overlook things, and they definitely didn't overlook us.
Great. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thank you.
We will now take our next question from Dan Tortora from wakeupcalldt.com. Please go ahead. Your line is open.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Dan, how you doing?
Doing well. I know, obviously, the team has struggled this year and had some adversity, but just what you could say about Malcolm Perry and what you've seen from him on film and just what he has done for the team, if there's some positive takeaways from his level of play at this point.
Well, he's played exceptionally well the whole year. You know, moving the slot back, he continues to play really well. You know, played well against Notre Dame and, you know, played well against Houston. I mean, the games he's gone in there, I mean, at other positions, he's always done well. You know what I mean? But he adds a different spark to us. You know, a breakaway threat that, you know, we haven't had in a while. But just really proud of Malcolm. He's, you know, done what we've asked. He's moved positions, and every position that he's moved to, he's been committed to it, and he's worked really hard. And, you know, he's, like you said, he's probably one of the bright spots in our team right now. But he's such a selfless kid that I don't think that means much to him because we're struggling as a football team. And he comes to work every day, and he continues to grind, and hopefully he'll continue to lead, you know, as one of our best teams just from his leadership and his work ethic.
And then as far as, you know, kind of weathering this adversity and navigating through it, just what you could say about, you know, I mean, and you've been in Navy for a long time. You've obviously seen the ups and downs of this team over the last decade plus. What are you seeing this year? What are you taking away as a coach and learning as a coach at this point?
Well, just, you know, this is a fragile deal. I mean, just sports, Division I football, but, you know, sports in general, it's a fragile deal. And you just, you know, to win is really, really hard. You know, our games have always been close games in years past. And, you know, we've got to find a way to finish games. And the margin of error is very slim. And for us, a lot of times there is no margin of error. And so just, you know, continue to stay the course, continue to keep battling, keep fighting. You know, I was encouraged by the way we played in the second half last week. And unfortunately, I was encouraged offensively. And the week before, I was encouraged by the way we played in the first half offensively. You know, we've got to find a way to put it together. And so, you know, coaching, part of it, the things you learn is, you know, you're in it together. And so if your kids aren't playing well, It's not just the kids' fault; it's your fault too. So as a coach, you got to look at what you're doing. It's continue to find ways to, schematically help them, find ways to help them psychologically, confidence-wise, try to put them in positions to execute. And you just got to continue to press forward, and that's kind of where you're at. But really, this is, and the other cliche in sports, it's really week to week. So every week is hard to win. But then you got to find a way to press forward again, as hard as that is, whether you're winning or losing. You got to find a way to learn from the previous games, take away the positives, try to correct the errors, but then find a way to move forward. And, we haven't been doing too good of that this year, but we still got some goals to be able to hopefully achieve, and, and hopefully we can start off by playing well against a really good Cincinnati team.
Well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate it, and good luck.
All right, thanks, Dan.
Coach, thanks so much for your time. As always, we look forward to hearing from you once again next week.